Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for joining me. I want to discuss narcissistic breakups, and I want to give you 5 reasons why they are absolutely so challenging. And I want to also, the sun just like totally went away there. I want to also give you some tips on how to go through each challenge, because you're probably going to go through all 5 of them, but you might go through them like at different points during this relationship. Okay, we fixed the lighting a little bit now so it won't be so dark. The sun just completely went away. First thing I want to talk about, the challenge that anyone that is in a narcissistic relationship or getting out of a narcissistic relationship is going to face is the fact that you were emotionally manipulated. Emotional manipulation has to do with these like subtle tactics and things that a person will do. Gaslighting is one of them. Silent treatment is another. Just ways to try to control your state and how you feel. These things that are done, whether it's like love bombing, whether it's withholding love and affection because they're upset with you, they do this because what they're trying to do is they're trying to cause or form some kind of an insecurity inside of you. So in these relationships, there's a lot of highs and there's a lot of lows. And when you're in dysfunctional relationships where there are highs and lows, you obviously always want to get back to the highs. And so when you always want to get back to the highs, when the lows happen, you kind of go within and you start blaming yourself. This is also where the codependency comes into play for you, where you feel that you did something wrong, or if someone puts a guilt trip on you, that it actually works and you take on that guilt or you take on that shame, or you feel that you were being too sensitive, or that you are the problem in the relationship, or that you are asking for too much, or that you can't just allow this person to be who they are when who they're trying to be is someone who is abusive, and you can see that. And so when you start to hold someone to a certain standard, you're going to get pushback. You're going to get this backlash. So manipulation can only happen if you let it. But the problem is that if you're entangled in a dysfunctional relationship, then unfortunately, and this stinks to say, but you're unhealthy as well. So a lot of times people just don't even know that they're being manipulated. They don't even know that someone's gaslighting them. They don't understand that they are being love bombed. Like, they don't understand the basics of what healthy dating should look like, what healthy relationships should look like. So if you don't understand those concepts, then you're going to struggle when you come from insecurities and wounds and things that you haven't healed from. Then you're going to be more likely to want someone to save you. And when you want someone to save you, then you're going to overlook red flags because you need this. I need love. I need validation. I need you to treat me good, because then that makes me feel like I'm enough, versus being a healthy whole person that can look at another person and determine whether they are healthy and whether or not you want to engage in the relationship. So that's the beginning of healthy thinking in terms of relationships. We're not groomed with that kind of knowledge. Now, the reason why emotional manipulation is a difficult thing or a challenge when you're going through a breakup is because you've been psychologically abused. You have dwindled down your self-esteem. You believe that you're the problem. So you don't have like a really good, healthy sense of self. You don't feel good about yourself when you're ending this relationship. You just actually feel like you're the problem. A lot of the times too, you just don't even know who you are at this point. You've completely lost yourself, and you're kind of starting from, unfortunately, a really painful place, but you are starting from that rock bottom where now you're like rebuilding like a new foundation of yourself, of your life, of who you are, and you're relearning about yourself. That's a challenge because you're undoing things that have been done that have not been the healthiest, that have caused a lot of problems for you. Number 2, idealization and devaluation. When you have been idealized, when you have been put on a pedestal, when you have been made to think that you are someone's soulmate, when you are the love of their life and they're so incredibly happy, and you've experienced this euphoria of great, your great love or this passion or all of this, and then it goes away, and it goes away real quick, and you're just like, wait, what happened? And you're almost like there's whiplash happening now. That process is extremely challenging because you had this high, and again, now you're experiencing this low, and you question yourself, and was that real? how did this happen? I guess they didn't love me. And you start really questioning yourself. You start questioning that relationship. And that is a very, very painful thing to go through. Now, in order to not experience emotional manipulation, you have to very, very much understand manipulation, and you have to know exactly who you are and what you think. This is why I always talk about the number one thing is not just about like learning about these different types of tactics. It's mostly about yourself. You having a really strong sense of self, that you know yourself, that you love yourself, that you trust yourself, that you know what you think, you know how you feel, and you stand by that. And you have those high standards, and you have standards, period. You understand healthy dynamics in relationships. You understand the difference between dysfunction and healthy. That's the only way you can avoid manipulation. The idealization, you'll never be devalued if you don't thrive off of these highs and lows, right? Like, so to be idealized, to be put on a pedestal and very quickly in a relationship, or just in an unhealthy way in a relationship. And if you are coming out of a narcissistic relationship and you can resonate with this idealization, love bombing, and then the devaluing thing, you'll know that that's not actually healthy. We're not supposed to be put on a pedestal. We're not supposed to be soulmates. We don't need to have like all of these like extreme things happening in the beginning phase of a relationship. And even in the course of a long-term relationship, if you really wholeheartedly felt like someone was the love of your life, was a soulmate, I think it's just so important to understand that even if you were with someone who's extremely healthy and you were so happy in that relationship, and let's just say they get hit by a bus, God forbid, right? They get hit by a bus. You have to know how this relationship that you have with self is all that you have ever had. And I don't want to say it's all that you will ever have, but it is the most important relationship. So these highs and lows, number one, that's not healthy. And when we understand that, and when we're filled up and we're good to go and we're healthy ourselves, then we don't also need that. We also won't be attracted to that. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't enjoy romantic gestures and, beginning phases of a relationship. Yes, we absolutely will, but we will not let ourselves get so emotionally involved in that we can just start, I don't want to say going down a rabbit hole, but just take over the emotion and not really remember the logic. Because when you get too far in the emotion, meaning you're feeding off of this pedestal, this idealization, then you lose the logic, and the logic tends to go away. And that's what we don't want. We want to make a decision to love someone, make a decision to be in a relationship with someone, choose that this is this person, decide that, versus just letting our emotions just make us feel like this is the person, because your emotion is also tied to your past and your wounds. That's why if you're unhealed, you're picking the wrong people. Number 3, lack of closure. You will never get closure from this relationship. You will never get a conversation, a healthy conversation that says, hey, so this relationship didn't really work out because I'm really unhealthy and I kind of projected that on you throughout the course of this relationship. No, you're never going to get any of that. You're never going to get closure. You're never going to get someone saying, I'm sorry. You're never going to get an apology, a recognition. No one's going to be accountable. And even if they are, it won't be coming from a place of wanting to fundamentally change and heal themselves from all the things that they possibly have done that have hurt you. So unfortunately, that's not really going to happen. And it is a really big challenge for a lot of people, because a lot of people want the closure. They want the conversation. I want the acknowledgement. And when they don't get it, they want revenge. And those are the things that the only person that hurts is you. And I know it sucks to feel like confused and hurt by what happened. And that's why gaining information, gaining clarity on what you went through, allowing yourself to grieve, understanding how to grieve, not judging yourself for how you feel. Like, you learn a lot about yourself and how to take care of yourself when you are coming out of these relationships. And the last thing that is extremely challenging when you are ending a relationship with someone who's narcissistic or really toxic, really unhealthy, is this fear of not being able to find what you just had. Now, this is the part that unfortunately is a little just sick and twisted on your part, our part, whatever, is the relationship was dysfunctional. It wasn't healthy, but because of this idealization, because of this, all of this projection, because of this is the love of my life thing, you tend to overlook the dysfunction and just see the fantasy. And the fantasy is what you hold on to, where you feel like you won't ever find this like great love that you thought you had. Thought being the key word. You can also really struggle with just being alone in general and being single again. And that's a challenge in itself, because you relied so heavily on this person in very unhealthy ways. You were probably very codependent. You probably didn't have a good, healthy sense of self. You didn't learn how to push yourself out of your comfort zone. So there were things that you didn't learn because you were so dependent on that relationship that are now really hurting you as you're going through this breakup. The one thing that can help you when you are going through this kind of transition in this phase of life, whether you're watching this just to gain some clarity, just to gain some validation, or whether you are really, really struggling right now, a huge part is education, and then a huge part is going to be you working on yourself, like understanding how to take the best care of yourself, how to validate yourself, how to soothe yourself, how to understand healthy relationships, how to probably heal from your past. There's so much work to be done, and it's not hard work. It's just, it takes being consistent with it. And there's so many resources out there. I mean, videos like this are helping. I know they're helping you to either validate you or give you some insight as to like, okay, well, how do I deal with how I feel? All of that are things that you never really learned before in your life. And now you're learning them because you're hitting a significant amount of pain. And even though the pain sucks, and even though you just want to be able to go like this and like get rid of it and like move on to the next phase of your life, that'll be so incredibly amazing. You have to be able to do this work. And this work that you do, it stays with you for the rest of your life. It helps you in every single possible area of your life. It will teach you good mental health. I always link all of my coaching options down below. I always link all of my courses down below, depending on where you are and what you're looking for. Anything down there will be an absolute great resource for you. I just came out with a new course called 30-Day Mindset Makeover, which is a phenomenal course. Daily videos, daily homework, daily reading stuff that you guys can dive into, get your highlighters out, because this is the stuff that everyone needs, no matter what phase of life you are going through. We all need this like reboot to kind of like remember who we are and to really start working on that inner self. So I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Please comment down below, where are you at in this process and what have you struggled with the most ending this relationship? So enjoy, guys, and I'll see you soon.